together through COVID-19. Being there for your loved ones through COVID-19. There is no question that the recent COVID-19 pandemic has affected families across the globe, especially those of elderly age. COVID-19's era of isolation has caused many families to part from their loved ones, leaving infected family members isolated in hospitals and hospice care centers, many forced to spend their last days alone. Due to the fact that the virus is airborne and spread through molecular-sized droplets, many families are stuck spending their last moments with their family members through glass windows. The health consequences of social isolation. A large portion of elderly men whom social networks were known were analyzed in order to detect whether social interaction and loneliness had an effect on a person's health. According to that study, socially isolated older men had a 90% increased risk of cardiovascular failure, raising the question if social isolation plays a role on the overall health of a person. Research concludes that there is a known discrepancy between the mortality rates of isolated men compared to the mortality rates of those who were socially active. Mental health effects of social isolation. In a 2015 research paper published to the Journal of Applied Research Quality Life, it was concluded that social isolation can have a direct impact on the mental health of a patient. A single unit increase in an individual's loneliness had resulted in an increase in their psychological distress score of around 4.78 units. This is significant at 5% and indicates that loneliness acts causally to increase distress. These studies conclude that isolation is directly associated with a lower score of mental health stability. Psychological to physiological. Mental illnesses can induce moments of stress and depression, ultimately affecting your body's capability to function properly. According to a statement made by the American Heart Association, stress can increase hormones like adrenaline and cortisol and can impact your blood pressure and your heart rate. Social and technological advancements tackling isolation. Lucky for us, we are facing this pandemic upon a time where technological advancements have just recently developed exponentially in the past decade, providing people with many ways of effectively being present to their family members in their time of need. The most utilized video chatting system making a rise due to remote learning is the platform Zoom, which grew its popularity by advertising as a large group conference video platform. Alternatives to Zoom include platforms such as Skype, Google Hangouts, and FaceTime. Conclusion. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected families all across the globe, especially the elderly population. Due to the virus being airborne, many families are forced to part with their loved ones due to isolation. Several studies have shown the relationship between social isolation and mental illness, which is more of a problem now than ever before. Stress levels correlated with mental illnesses such as depression and anxiety produce hormones which can impact your heart rate and blood pressure. Though social isolation poses a higher threat on the elderly, there are many new technological advancements that make it so families can be there for their loved ones in order to provide them with the comfort and support that they need in order to fight this virus. The world is experiencing a time where the need for social cooperation and care is needed in order to rebuild our lives. Though long-term isolation poses health risks, there are many new and innovative ways to be there for your loved ones together through COVID-19.